The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
Whoa, who's getting that sort of treatment so early in the show? Good night, folks. Good night to everyone. And welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real. And I'm yours truly, Norbert Williams, right here with tonight's episode, Ignorance is Bliss. And I will explain that. Well, there'll be no doubt in your mind exactly what this means in just a little while. But nevertheless, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to all of you all around St. Lucia. And of course, before I get into any trouble, folks, you know, it's unbelievable the number of fans of the show who, if I want to say, accost me and threaten me, say, you better call out my area on the next episode of the show or you're going to be in trouble. I was like, oh no, I better not get into any trouble with anyone. So that's that. So anyway, starting off with the shout out, somebody told me on Sunday, Zeno. Is there a Zeno in Soufre? That's what they said, Zeno. So I'm shouting out Zeno tonight, and I hope you feel wonderful that you're on the map. Duga, Soufre, New Development Area, Otaboy in Ancillary, Market Street. That's right, folks, Market Street. That nice little restaurant, bar, little place down there. And like I said before, when it's Tuesday and Keeping It Real is on, everything stops in Ancillary. That's right, folks, every single thing stops in Ancillary, and it's time for action. So let's go further to the Ajudas down there in Ancillary. Of course, Ajuda land is Ancillary, Flora Villa, Canaries, Choiseul, Labrie, Vieux-Fort, Pierrot, Grace, La Ressource, Miku, Deriso, Beau Séjour in Gros-Îles, up the line in Miku, Pralin, Dennery, Richfort. Good night to you. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. Good night to you. Where are we now? Gadet, Oleon, Bexon, Marc, Sarot, Laquamengo, Marigot, Cul-de-sac. I don't know, some people every week they ask me for the link to the show. Every single week now. For years. I don't know. It's the same thing. Keeping It Real, SLU. Facebook.com, Keeping It Real, SLU. Montfortune, Forestier, Cul-de-sac, Leclerc, Bocage, Entrepot, Independent City. Good night to all of you. I'm watching you. Marchand, Montfortune, Capitol Hill. Ancillary is sweet in my mouth. You all the way in New York. You interfering with me. Goodlands, Latoc Road, Ciceron, Coubaril, Cabiche, Plateau, Masque, Union, Grand Riviere, Gros-Îles, Grand Riviere on the other side. You know where it is. Monnier, Corinth, Marisil, Bizet, Plateau. Did I say Plateau already? Carélie, Bois d'Orange, Montgiro, Monchy, Lafayette, Rivière-Mitan, Rodney Bay, Redouy, Bonte, Bas-Saint-Joseph. Good night to you, Bas-Saint-Joseph. I see you. La Ouetouette, Gros-Îles, Casaba, and all the way at the top of the island, Cap Estate. And of course, Desgazons is in the house. Yes, I see you, Desgazons. Good night. And those of you in the diaspora, Dallas, Texas is in the house tonight. Houston, Texas. Los Angeles, California. Where else? Atlanta, Georgia. Miami, Florida. Fort Lauderdale, West Palm. Brooklyn, New York. Cabiche. Babono is in the house. Good night to you. The Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, Manhattan, New Jersey, Union City, Jersey City, all over the US, where the fans are lining up right now for another hot episode of Keeping It Real. Good night, Boston, Massachusetts, Hartford, Connecticut, Stamford, Bridgeport, Bridgeton, Tupatu. Good night to you, Washington, D.C., Virginia area, Baltimore, Maryland, all over the place. Newark, New Jersey, Trenton, all of you. That's enough now, folks. And of course, a special good night to all the fans, folks, on Sky FM. Good night to you, the original crew with the man Champagne watching on right now. Champagne, good night to you and good night to all the fans over there. And thank you to the sponsors of Keeping It Real. You know, without you, we couldn't keep it going. Thank you so much. Thank you. And let's get ready to rumble. I know you've been waiting. It's been only 7 days, folks, but I tell you, there's been a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. And we're going to get into it tonight. First out of the gate, I want to deal with the new candidate for ancillary canneries. Caught you by surprise. Wayne Gerard. And Wayne Gerard was interviewed on Choice TV by Shane Sherry. And you know, you're a new candidate and people want to know what you're all about and what you have to say and, questions that are raised about you and, how you getting into the politics kind of thing is going to work out. So, deep into his interview, a question was put to Wayne Gerard about Freedom Bay. Remember Freedom Bay, folks? Yeah, Freedom Bay. That development down there in the World Heritage Site and all of that railroad that was going on. Well, here's what he had to say, or some of what he had to say about Freedom Bay. You ready for me? Roll it.
But you were involved in a project some years ago,
I was indeed.
Freedom Bay, and there was some contention from the public that there's some areas, there were certain areas that should not be built on. How did the company deal with that, and what has happened to that project since then?
We never owned any property in Policy Area 1.
Hold it right there. Hold it right there. We never owned any property in that area. Give me number 2. Freedom Bay number 2. Graphic. Number 2. Freedom Bay number 2. You see that, folks? Zoom in a little bit there for me too, please. Well, in fact, you can just hold it right there. You see those? Hold it right there. Can you bring it down a little bit? That's right. Bring it down. You see those red arrows there, folks? And you see the outline of that area? That's the Freedom Bay master plan. Okay? And all of that is the area. Now, let's go back to the video. Just go back about 5 seconds and start it again.
Public, that there's some areas, there were certain areas that should not be built on. How did the company deal with that, and what has happened to that project since then?
We never owned any property in Policy Area 1.
Okay.
This is just mischief. We never.
Pause that right there. Pause that right there. I'm not even letting him get. Come to me. I'm not letting you get too far into that. Because I want you to play that little bit there again. Start that bit again for the people to hear and see.
To that project since
we never owned any property in Policy Area 1.
Okay.
This is just mischief.
I'm not the one talking.
We absolutely never owned, never had any intention.
Start it again. Start it again. Start it again.
In Policy Area.
How did the company deal with that, and what has happened to that project since then?
We never owned any property in Policy Area 1, Shane.
Okay.
This is just mischief. We absolutely never had any intention of building anything in Policy Area 1.
Pause it right there.
As a matter
We never had any intention of building anything in policy area number 1. Let's go to graphic number 2, please. Master plan. Now let's zoom in there where you see that smaller red arrow there. Let's see that. That's right. Move to the left a little bit. Move it to the left. You know that? Center it. That's right. Now zoom in a little bit again for these wide 100-inch screens. Hold it right there. Hold it. Now, folks, you will observe that dotted black line. And you see the confines. You see that solid line on the right there. Jagged line indicating the area of the Freedom Bay. And what is the marcation up there? It says PMA Policy Area number 1 boundary. And to the top of that, you see PMA Policy Area number 4 boundary. Now, what is in the A area to the south of that dotted line? You see buildings there, of course. To the lower part, you see the yellow outline buildings, the villas, and you see the blue in there. That certainly wasn't my property. That was part of the master plan for Freedom Bay. And as a matter of fact, I'll just let you know, before I go any further, that the plans that were submitted were rejected because there was this construction or those buildings or villas within PMA, Piton Management Area number 1. I don't know. This is what was submitted to the DCA. Now, if you just scroll across to the right, because I want you to see, to the right, you see cabinet conclusion there? To the right, to the right, to the right. Uway kuma simon la. Zot way. Now bring it up a little bit so they can see for themselves. You see? This is the cabinet conclusion referring to what is there. I can't see it right here now, folks, but I'll put it up online so you could see it later. Right? And all the particulars, if you zoom out a little bit, all the particulars with regard to the side, you see Freedom Bay, Tutbagay, Pamweki D. But let's go back and start with Wayne Girard again.
anything in Policy Area 1. As a matter of fact, I think we were probably the only developer as of the time who made a presentation to the National Trust.
Okay.
We were very open, we were very transparent in what we're doing. I mean, if you see the EIA that we did, it is a very thick document. Every single thing was taken into consideration. So we spent a lot of due care and attention in terms of recognizing that we were building in an area with its inherent value. So why would we want to destroy what is going to give value to us? There was never any intention to build in Policy Area 1 on the shoulder of the Peter, next to the foot of the Peter. None of that was actually true.
Play the last 5 seconds for me again there, please. Because maybe I'm not hearing right. Maybe some people have some, interference on their TV. Let's just hear that again.
So we spent a lot of due care and attention in terms of recognizing that we were building in an area with its inherent value. So why would we want to destroy what is going to give value to us? There was never any intention to build in Policy Area 1 on the shoulder of the Peter, next to the foot of the Peter. None of that.
Let's bring that center out there for people to see. Center it, center that bottom part there. Yeah, center. Bring it down. Now play that audio for me there on top of that.
So we spent a lot of due care and attention in terms of recognizing that we were building in an area with its inherent value. So why would we want to destroy what is going to give value to us? There was never any intention to build in Policy Area 1 on the shoulder of the Peter, next to the foot of the Peter. None of that was actually true.
You hear that, folks? You hear that? I didn't say it, but you saw the plan. This is what was submitted to the DCA. And in fact, any construction in Area 1 was not omitted because Wayne Girard and his company, Malguetut Hotel Development Company Limited, was so altruistic and decided that they would not build in that area. Oh no. They didn't build in that area because the DCA rejected that plan you see there. The DCA rejected it. So, I don't know what he's talking about. So, I don't know. I have no idea what he is referring to. But maybe he will give some clarification on that at some time. But let's go further to hear what Wayne Girard has to say during that interview. Roll.
Yeah, I will, but let me just touch on, let me just finish touch on the Freedom Bay matter, because it seems to be something that people think that there is some shame in it. There is absolutely no shame in it. There was construction taking place on the site. If you go down to Soufrière now, you see that there are already completed villas. Prior to the general election of 2016, the company was able to bring in equipment duty-free. It cannot be correct that the day or 2 days after the general election, I got a visit to the site, and there were other people at the site at the time, from 2 ministers of government. Then subsequently, we're not able to clear our trucks duty-free. Then subsequently to that, the Prime Minister is saying to 2 lawyers who came from the UK, asking the question, why is it that overnight we now have no access to our duty-free concessions? And then he made the point to them that in order for the project to proceed, I need not be involved. And that is the only reason why I went in, met the board and the lawyers, and put the company into receivership.
That is absolute baloney, Wayne. That's absolute, because the Prime Minister had a conversation with some people and said you should not be there, that you put the company into receivership. Folks, you know, I'm going to start early in the show. Flush that nonsense. Flush it. Flush that absolutely. That statement, folks, is an insult to the intelligence of St. Lucians. It's an insult to the interviewer, who himself was just there hapless or deliberately didn't ask the appropriate question. That Wayne Girard could sit there with a straight face and say, because of a statement that Prime Minister Alan Shastney made, that he decided to put the company into receivership. Are you serious? I mean, do you believe that anybody did finance in school? Or did commerce at school? Or has any modicum of intelligence to swallow that absolute nonsense? Just so you put the company in receivership. Folks, you know what receivership is. I know a lot of you have your cell phones and your tablets and your laptops with you. Just Google receivership and see what it means. But those of you who can't do it, or those of you who don't want to get up and get your tablet or your laptop, whatever, receivership is when you have a company that is indebted to a bank or an investor or whatever, and it can either be from the courts or in an arrangement or the terms when an investor gives you money or the bank loans you money, and that for whatever reason the business is undergoing financial difficulty, and in order to secure the bank's monies or the investor's monies, an entity, could be an individual, could be a company, is appointed as the receiver. And that entity will sell the assets of the failing company, and those monies will go towards the lender or the investor. So when Girard has a multiple $million project going on, and arbitrarily he will just decide to put the company in receivership. Well, I'll tell you, I don't believe that. That's absolute nonsense. In fact, there is a lot of evidence out there to suggest otherwise. Folks, again, I'm just keeping it real with you. Use your phone, your tablet, your laptop there with you right now, or if you're sitting at your computer. Google, again, Freedom Bay bankruptcy. Google that and see the horror stories and the number of companies in the UK that are in problems because investors or pensioners who invested their pension funds in Freedom Bay are not getting a return. That they call it a mama guy, a coco macacri. The stories are there online, Pamwekidi. In fact, let me just tell you there, folks. In fact, there's a file there that I want you to see. I don't know. I think it disappeared. Good. Let's go to, well, first of all, let me tell you, you'll see an abbreviation on a lot of those pages. SIPP, Self-Invested Personal Pensions, where people take their pensions after working for a lifetime and decide, you know what, this is my little nest egg. I'm going to take that money and invest it so I could relax at home. So they got promises of villas and you could timeshare or part own and you'll get something every year and you would even be able to go to St. Lucia and get a year. You know, like timeshares, those of you who know timeshares, you could have 3, 4, 5, 10 people purchase or have shares in a condo or in a house on the beach. And during the year, if you have 12 people, it's just like if you want to say the principle of the susu, each person gets a month usage of the condo or of the house on the beach or the cottage in the countryside or whatever it is. Same thing, they promised the pensioners you'd be able to get a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. And whilst you're not there, they will be earning, you'll be earning monies on your investment because it'll be rented out to people the rest of the year. So let's go to the first web page that I got for you. First web page. And I want you to scroll down to the section where it says, where it's captioned, what went wrong? Scroll down. Yes, that's right. It's coming. Move to the middle. That's right. Hold it there. Hold it there. Listen to what they're saying on that site. And it is goodwinbarrett.co.uk. It's a law firm. Put simply, the resort is still not finished. The original target completion date was in 2012. 2012. Although this then drifted to 2013 and then 2014, the current completion date is unknown. Did that have anything to do with Alan Chasney? Did it have anything to do with Alan Chasney? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But Wayne Girard will get on TV, be interviewed and say it's because it was Alan Chasney who made a comment to 2 lawyers who came to St. Lucia. Absolute balderdash. Let's go to the other link. To the other one. And that is the Express publication in the UK. Scroll down, scroll nice and slow. It sounds too good to be true for a reason. And what's the date on that story there? What's the year? June 24th, 2018. All through those years, people who invested their monies. You see, they even have a picture of St. Lucia there. This guy, some African guy or whatever, living in the UK. Scroll it down for them, let them see. I'm not the one saying that. And these people were in there for years and years. For years and years, waiting for some return on their investment. The project can't start. It cannot finish. Right? But it's Alan Chasney. Right? Scroll it down. You can see, folks. This is a real web page. Real web page. Real web page. I'm not making it up. You see that, folks? I'm glad you can see it. So, I think that gets the point across. But, you know, I have a few questions to ask. Questions, pertinent questions that should be answered. Because this fiasco of a project, Freedom Bay, has been going on for years. And I want to know why there have been so many lawsuits. And I have a question to ask. Whether it's not true, is it not true that Prime Minister Kenny Anthony refused to meet with you, Wayne Girard, and Robert Whitten, the developer? That's a question you should answer. Another question that you should answer is what happened to the US $44 million that was given as investments from those pensioners and all of those people. All of those years, 2011, 2010, 2013, 2014, what happened to that money? You said in the interview that there were, 5 villas that had already been built or something of the sort? What, were they completed? Had they been completed? You have partially acquired lands in that area. Not even all the lands that occupy the footprint that you presented in that master plan was fully paid for. Nesepa, is that not so? What do you have to say about that? Was it all paid for? What happened to the 44 million US dollars, over 100 million EC dollars? And you talk about your duty-free concessions at customs, or duty-free concessions on vehicles and other stuff, machinery, heavy-duty equipment. Why was a car seized by the Customs Department? And why did the Customs Department not want to honor duty-free concessions that you had received? Because Customs refused to release those vehicles from duty-free because they felt the concessions did not cover the duty-free importation of the trucks that you wanted to clear. This had nothing to do with Chasney. But of course, everybody's looking for, a little edge. So call Chasney. Use his name. The brochure for Freedom Bay, I'll find it and present it to you in a while. But, this is the little piece of that interview that took the cake for me. That's what really took the cake. The icing, it took the plate, the candles, stood bagay. When asked by a caller about education in ancillary, listen to this.
Constituency. Before we start to go to specific areas, what is your overall vision?
To be quite honest, I would love to wake up one day and to realize that the aspirations of the ordinary person in ancillary canneries. For example, if you want to pursue your education, commuting from ancillary canneries to South Louis on an evening is a bit of a challenge. Mm-hmm. It will be good in a few years' time if the young people of the constituency want to educate themselves to be able to do it right in the constituency. Right. It will also be
sneaking up on me. Education in ancillary and those who go into Arthur Lewis College and transportation in the night. You want to build a campus of Sir Arthur Lewis in ancillary or something of the sort? But how about making it less complicated and just having a bus for the students. How many students from Ancillary go to Sir Arthur at night? Wouldn't it be easier, less costly, to just simply arrange transportation? Don't you think so? I mean, that just struck me as rather odd, where we already have a facility where it is so much easier, knowing the constraints that we have financially, knowing what we're going through right now, and just saying, well, the easiest thing to do would be to arrange some type of transportation pool, maybe a coaster, depending on the number of students. I hardly believe it's 500 students from Ancillary going to Sir Arthur Lewis Community College and having to return home at night. Just something to think about. So with that little piece there, I'll get you that brochure for you to see the concept drawings and everything. It's just about time. We'll take our first break and we'll be right back after the break.
Benefits of a tropical solar water heating system. Call 453-1868 in Castries or 454-6344 in Vieux-Fort.
Yes, catch the first news from 7:15 only on channel 117. St. Lucia, Hot 7 TV was the first to bring you a full HD newscast. Now, here's another first. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now your first newscast for the evening in St. Lucia. You heard right. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now at 7:15. Yes, tune in at 6:45 p.m. and be the first to catch the latest happenings in your world. On the run, watch us on your cell phone or tablet via the Caribbean Hot FM app. Trusted objective journalism from our diligent news team. Get it fresh. Get it hot. The Hot 7 Nightly News. Now at 7:15. Watch us on channel 117 on Flow, channel 7 Plug and Play, or follow us on Facebook Live on Caribbean Hot 7 TV. The Hot 7 Nightly News starts at 6:45 p.m. from Monday, October 12th.
Well, welcome back, folks. Welcome back from that quick break. I hope this was not too fast for you, but some more info. You have that brochure yet? Not yet. Okay, great. No problem. No problem. We missed setting that up, on the timeline. Folks, Crown Lands was sold to Freedom Bay to the tune of $10 million. The down payment of $5 million was paid. And the balance to be paid in 2 years at 8% interest. Oh yeah, that was Freedom Bay. Since then, they haven't paid a cent. They haven't paid since then, and interest continues to rise. The lease for the Queen's Chain was never paid. And as it stands now, Freedom Bay currently owes the government of St. Lucia $12 million. Will Mr. Wayne Gerard kindly address that? If you're going to give information, give everything. Give everything. And I have some more information here. Like I tell you folks, I keep it real. Keep it real. and I give you the information for you to conduct your own analysis of the paralysis. So now we're done with this. When the Freedom Bay brochure is ready for you to see or to be presented on screen, we good to go? Great, great work around here. Let's get the Freedom Bay brochure out there on the internet. Scroll down for the people to see. Can you zoom in for that 100-inch screen? There. Whoa! That's 150. That's coming out for Christmas. Not yet. Scroll down. Let the people see. Isang baila pui man. Fractional hotel. That's timeshare. Membaila. What happened? You stick there. Driver, what happened? You don't have a mask. There you go, folks. That's what it looked like. But on page number 3, the first page with the highlight, right? He said they were never going to. That's right. That one there. Just scroll down a little bit. Yeah. Oh, Befla. Scroll down a little bit. Remember he said nothing to do with UNESCO or whatever. What does it say? One of the main marketing points of it, what? A UNESCO World Heritage Site. Let's scroll down to the next page. All of this was part of the marketing of Freedom Bay. Alea. That's right. Can you see it? Can you zoom in? There you go. Oh, Befla. The luxurious resort is located uniquely within a UNESCO World Heritage Site at the foot of the iconic pitons. You see? No intention to build in every area, but World Heritage Site. PMA number 1 is it within the World Heritage Site, of course. And you all saw the master plan that was submitted, didn't you? Let's go down to the next page. Look, hold on there. Look at that. The plans that they had for that place there, right? On the beach, Sapa Queen's Chin. Right almost in the water. Let's scroll up. I think it's on top there, the caption of that photo there. Is that it? Yes, there it is. A luxurious resort located uniquely within a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But where was the outrage of the National Trust then? Where was the outrage of the bleeding heart liberals or the conservatives, whichever ones that have their hearts bleeding? Where was the outrage then? Where was the outrage when this came out? Did you hear from the National Trust? Did you hear from the National Trust when the plans were submitted for construction in PMA 1, Pitons Management Area 1? Was there any outrage? Did they make any statement? And if memory serves me correctly, or I can ask, in 2012, wasn't Calix George Jr. the St. Lucia National Trust representative on the board of the DCA? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Didn't the National Trust, if it was not him, didn't the National Trust have a representative on the board of the DCA at that time there? Did you hear anything, folks? I just want to know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I forgot. Did they take a boat down there and go and trespass on the people's property and make noise and all of that? Did they do that? Did they take a boat with reporters, with politicos, with wannabes, with the usual suspects? Did they do that? See, just question Amadeus. I'm just asking. And the clock is not in here tonight, so I guess we go until I'm ready to stop. You know, that's what I'm asking, folks. So you see when people ask questions about the motivation. Let's scroll down some more or scroll up, whatever you want to call it. Gasa, belty massage kahinla. Gasa. Scroll down. We're not reading. We're just watching the pictures. All of this, Freedom Bay. Uwaikuma. Scroll up. All of this is what lured in, which what captivated the pensioners in the UK for their hard-earned pounds. Pon, according to a certain talk show host, none at pon. Scroll up again. Scroll. Let them see. Let them see what was used. 25% discount in the bottom right of your screen. 25% discount available for phase 1 purchasers. So if you come in early, you get a deal. So they entice you. Come on in. Give us your millions. You see that, folks? Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Don't be scared. Keep scrolling. This is not that kind of channel, you know. Don't keep that focus there too long. Keep scrolling. That's it. Hey. Folks, I'd be enticed after seeing those photos in a glossy brochure. I want a piece of the pitons too. But what Wayne Girard left out, the big elephant in the room, is what happened to all of those millions that were invested from those pensioners. I don't know. I think you were in a unique position to provide the answers. If you want to tell all, supposedly, or come clean, or come out, might as well say something about that. But anyway, enough of that. I'm sure the people await some clarification on your part. So let's move on to a situation which occurred on the weekend. And folks, I must tell you that in St. Lucia, there is a serious level of desperation that we see. Serious. And that notwithstanding all of the propaganda, the lies, the misinformation that has been thrown at this government, they've all fallen flat. From the rumors and the lies about nurses being fired last year, end of October, their contracts coming to an end, about St. Lucia being the worst prepared, about all and sundry under the sun. Anything that this Alan Chasney-led government has attempted to do, has embarked upon, has begun doing, has been met with alligators. Well, you know, if you hear, you know what alligators means. Allegations. Alligators about the intent, about the high likelihood, that's what they put it, the predictions of doom and gloom, how it's never going to work. And every time it does work, whoop, the story changed. Every time something works out right for St. Lucia, the story changes. Every attempt to sabotage the good name of St. Lucia. But the evidence and the numbers speak for themselves and have spoken loud and clear. And that is why the people of St. Lucia will not be misled. Initially, you may create a little batmatch. Oh, bon Dieu. But you know, as I always say here, time is the catcher. And time has been the catcher for all the lies and all the propaganda, because they never come to pass. St. Lucia will have a new prime minister by Christmas. 2 years ago, Chasney still there. St. Lucia is the worst prepared for COVID. St. Lucia is among the best in the world. But let's go now to a boat ride. Folks, a boat ride. with all the usual faces. Calix George Jr., St. Lucia National Trust representatives, Richard Frederick, Tricia Lionel, and now blooming onto the scene, Albert Fridges, and all the others. You know them too well. All the doom and gloomers. Surprisingly, there was no boat ride for the Freedom Bay project. But I call that boat ride an invasion of marauders. And you will see, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure many of you have, and I was shocked by what I saw, because the people who were on that boat ride, supposedly to see, to inspect what was going on at that development down there where the Canadian bought the 92 acres of land. Remember that? Where Dr. Kenny Anthony granted approved developer status. Remember that from a few weeks ago? The band of marauders is heading down there. But my further comments will come at the end of the video clip, which made it to the news, which has made it on social media, into the public domain. You ready for me there? Roll the pirate ship.
He's a police officer, but obviously he's on private duty. He's on private duty.
Hold on, pause it there. Let us start that again. Richard Frederick, front and center. Let's start it again.
He's a police officer, but obviously he's on private duty.
Pause there. Pay attention, folks. I want you to pay attention. But obviously, he's on private duty. And just to let you know, after, yours truly was a police officer, I want to let you know that Richard Frederick was also a police officer. That Albert Fridges was also a police officer. And we were all brothers in the police force together. So don't think that there's any animosity between us all, even though people may get a little, red in the face sometimes, or blue, or yellow, or green, or whatever. We were all brothers in the police force. So we all understand what special duty is. That's what it's called in the police force. Special duty, and he was referred to there as private duty. When a police officer who is off duty performs security or enforcement functions for a private entity, like at Carnival, or at some show or dance, or country and western dance, or some event that you may have. If you want a police officer to be there, or 2 or 3 police officers to secure your premises, to make sure that people don't get on wild and behave bad, you contract the police and you pay them. Yes, you have to pay. It's not free, folks. So let's listen again to what Richard Frederick says. And then soon, immediately after he says it, listen to what he says. And there you have to, you must pay attention. And I want you to keep it real. Listen. Start it again.
He's a police officer, but obviously he's on private duty. He's on private duty because I don't understand. He's on private duty.
He's on private
because
duty.
I don't understand why Shasne would take state resources to have a policeman to take taxpayers' money to have a police officer to guard private property.
Pause. He's on private duty, but immediately afterwards, you see the mind games? Immediately afterwards, he says, but I don't see why Shasne would take a police officer, take police funds, right? With a choice, Mike, eh? Is he employed with choice? I don't see why Shasne would take public funds and pay a police officer to conduct private duties on private property. But you just said the police officer is providing is private duty he's on. So what was the purpose of saying that? Because people will latch on that. Where Chasne ka paye police. C'est l'argent nous, l'argent public là, ka paye police là. Why is that being done? Two totally contrasting statements. Two totally opposing statements immediately following one another. Why? Why? Now I have to let you know that the police officer there in plain clothes was on the private property. I think, what's his name? Mr. Gayad or Goyad. It's not a public place. The property was duly bought and paid for in total $8.5 million US. You heard the amount. It's private property. You're telling me a former member of parliament, practicing attorney, former police officer, Richard Frederick, Albert Fredris, former police officer in the hierarchy of the police force, a practicing attorney, journalists who very well understand what private property means. Don't tell me Richard Frederick doesn't know that. Don't tell me Albert Fredris does not know that, what private property means. Clearly marked. They run down the fence and entered private property. In fact, let me let you see. Keep rolling.
That is unheard of.
Despite the orders and warnings of the individuals securing the property, some members of the group proceeded to remove the barrier and access the area.
We'll storm it. Okay? Simple as that. Okay?
Members of the press followed the commotion to
Hold on,
document
pause
the
there,
sequence
pause
of
there,
events.
pause there. Folks, what? Members of the press followed the commotion? They didn't follow the commotion, they trespassed. They trespassed. You can clearly see that they were impeded from entering when they run down the barricade. And you tell me the press followed the commotion? I mean, this is ridiculous. Private property, even whether you agree or you disagree, it's still private property. Under the laws of St. Lucia, everything that has gone on there is legal. From the permission that Kenny Anthony gave for whatever reasons, he granted approved developer status. The DCA examined the master plan or the plans or whatever and gave instructions on what was allowed and what was not allowed. And for all intents and purposes, anything that has happened on that site has been in accordance with the regulations, with the limits of acceptable change in the Piton management area. You may disagree with the approval. You may disagree with building on a UNESCO site. That is a totally different argument. But at this point in time, it is private property. So for someone in the media, the reporter to say that the press followed the commotion is absolute nonsense. Keep rolling.
Members of the press followed the commotion to document the sequence of events which would eventually result in a physical confrontation involving multiple individuals.
Pause that there for me, please. Pause that there. What level of arrogance and confrontation are we seeing in this country? Folks, I don't know, but it seems that there is a concerted effort by certain people to instigate some sort of confrontation. And this has been happening on a number of occasions where certain people are not invited, where they've been asked not to enter, where they've been asked to leave. They keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And almost every time it involves the police. Are these people, the ones who are pushing the envelope, looking to instigate some confrontation where force will be used and use that as the foundation for further problems in St. Lucia. That's all I'm asking. Keep rolling.
Just don't try it. Don't try it.
Despite being questioned several times, the individual identified as an officer declined to explain his presence on the site.
I am willing to work with you now, but what is your legitimacy here?
Pause that right there. Pause that. Folks, you will see in a while. That is Albert Fridges, a former senior superintendent of police or whatever. A practicing attorney now. Former charge d'affaires at the St. Lucia High Commission in the UK, who was in fact number 2 in charge when Dr. Ernest Hilaire was the High Commissioner. When all that brouhaha, you know the brouhaha, was going on. And now asking on private property, a police officer, in fact, he didn't even need to know he was a police officer. What is the nature? Play that again, that little bit there. Let me hear that.
But what is your legitimacy here?
Hold on. What is your legitimacy here? Can you believe this stupidity? What, I mean, were these guys playing up for the cameras? What is your legitimacy here? You on private property? Nobody needs to explain to you what their legitimacy is. Do you have any claim to the property? Is it yours? Is your house there? Is the guy blocking a road to your home? I mean, when I was aghast. What is your legitimacy there, Albert Fridges? What's your legitimacy? You're trespassing at that point. And as far as the law is concerned, folks, let me tell you something. Displacing the security personnel at the barrier, breaking down the barrier, buoying into private property, engaging in a physical altercation with the persons who were there, with a band of marauders. There were at least 20, 30, 40 people there. What is going through your head? That you're going to be overrun? Would somebody therefore then be authorized to use force? Should you run or should you maintain your position? Ask Albert Fridges that. If you were a police officer and you were put at a particular location, whether you were on government duty or special duty, and a bunch of people behaving in the manner that those people were behaving, running you down, running towards you, after having broken down a barrier, after getting into physical altercations with people ahead of you, charged with the responsibility of maintaining the perimeter of that private property. Do you think that maybe you could use force to repel the crowd? That's what the police would do. Would it be reasonable to say that seeing those crazed individuals approaching you there after being told on multiple occasions that they could not enter, would it be reasonable for you to believe that your life and limb were in danger with all the shouting and the screaming? I don't know. Keep rolling.
Is your legitimacy here?
You, as an ex-police officer, asking me these kind of questions.
No, you're telling me you're here?
You are an ex-police officer. You are my commanding officer. You are the one.
Indeed, so you cannot tell me about policing. So I'm trying to find out.
Pause that right there. Albert Fridges. You, as a commanding officer, a former commanding officer in the police force, should know better than that. And what is Albert Fridges' response? Get his response there again. I mean, this is egregious. This is a sin that a man who should know better is engaged. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, when you go to police school or when you become a lawyer or when you get involved in stuff like that, you look at incidents, especially video, or you look at the events in a statement. And in the charges that could be laid, or in the statutes, in the laws, there are points to prove. So is pushing the police officer or the individual who was charged with the responsibility of securing the property, is that assault? The statements that were made, I'm going to do this, that, threatening words? But the question I have to ask is whether the lawyers for the owner of the property, Foster and Foster, will press charges against Albert Frederick, Richard Frederick, Mano, and all the others who were seen on that video invading the property, assaulting the police officer on special duty, assaulting the other individuals who had t-shirts that was clearly marked security. Will Foster and Foster, or Foster alone, prefer charges against Richard Frederick? And the question is, would Richard Frederick or Albert Frederick or Mano or any of the others in there allow anyone to invade their property like they did there? I mean, this is absolute foolishness. This is absolute foolishness, and I'm putting it nicely. Continue, roll.
Commanding officer,
Indeed,
you are the one.
Indeed, so you cannot tell me about policing. So I'm trying to find out what authority you have.
You don't. I don't have to tell you.
But you have to, because
You know I don't have
if
to
you are going to treat me as a trespasser, you have to tell me under what authority you're treating me as a trespasser.
Hold on.
I don't know that necessarily was there.
I never heard more nonsense in my life. If you're saying that I'm trespassing, you have to tell me under what authority? A former senior member of the police force? A practicing attorney? I am stupefied. This is the most nonsense I have ever heard. So now, somebody on private property has to convince an invader, a trespasser, that he has some kind of authority to tell him he can't come on the property. You ever hear such nonsense? So it's like these individuals there invading your house, and you've left a friend there for the weekend, and they're asking the friend, what authority you have to say that I'm trespassing? I mean, how ridiculous is that? And he said, kakakal bas, kia tet muna lo. I mean, a lawyer? A lawyer? I want a letter to be written by Renee St. Rose talking about that. I want Renee St. Rose to write a letter. I mean, this is incredible. Finish it off. Continue.
You have to tell me under what authority you're treating me as a...
What did I say when I come here?
Right? I don't know that necessarily was there.
Are you working in a private capacity right now?
I don't have to answer that, darling.
But you have to.
No,
because you are here trying to treat us as trespassers.
So are you here in the orders of the commissioner or the RSLPF or in a private capacity?
You can figure it out how as you want to.
Bravo, officer.
Our news team
Figure it
was
out the hell you
unable to
want.
confirm whether the officer in question was there on RSLPF orders or whether he had applied for permission to work in a private capacity. However, information from the RSLPF suggests that any officers who would have been in the area on RSLPF orders...
Madness. Absolute madness. You ever heard... Folks, let's take a break. I don't know what to say. Take a break. We'll be right back.
benefits of a tropical solar water heating system. Call 453-1868 in Castries or 454-6344 in Vieux Fort.
Yes, catch the first news from 7:15, only on Channel 117. St. Lucia, Hot 7 TV was the first to bring you a full HD newscast. Now, here's another first. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now your first newscast for the evening in St. Lucia. You heard right. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now at 7:15. Yes, tune in at 6:45 p.m. and be the first to catch the latest happenings in your world. On the run, watch us on your cell phone or tablet via the Caribbean Hot FM app. Trusted objective journalism from our diligent news team. Get it fresh, get it hot. The Hot 7 Nightly News, now at 7:15. Watch us on Channel 117 on Flow, Channel 7 Plug and Play, or follow us on Facebook Live on Caribbean Hot 7 TV. The Hot 7 Nightly News starts at 6:45 p.m. from Monday, October 12th.
Well, welcome back, folks. Welcome back. I want to say a special good night to all the hard-working police officers out there. Special good night to you. Thank you for tuning in. Folks, we have to say kudos to the police who continue to keep us safe day and night right here in St. Lucia, whether it be through COVID times or any other time. You see what we're up against. And the police are a vital part, a critical part to maintaining law and order in St. Lucia. But a special shout out to the Foster's Chambers. What action will you be taking on behalf of the owner of that property with that invasion of individuals there, including so-called journalists? It is incredible, folks. But now, if you want to call it from the sublime to the absolutely and utterly ridiculous. And just to remind you folks, those of you who've been asking, the photos that didn't make it last week and the week before, and because it was all caught up out there in space somewhere, St. Jude's photos tonight. Stay tuned for that. Was it 2 days ago or whatever, Monday? Was it yesterday or whenever? What day is today? Tuesday? That St. Lucians were shocked beyond belief by a talk show host. I don't know, the reports that I'm getting is that he's called Yodi. Called an individual who was in isolation at the respiratory hospital, Old Victoria Hospital, because he had tested positive for COVID-19. In fact, multiple tests confirmed that he was indeed positive. But the story that had been circulating, or the information that had been given, and rightfully so, was that he was a minibus driver, and out of an abundance of caution, and absolutely necessary to be done in this time, the license plate on the vehicle was made public. And the route is Route 2H between Castries and Vieux Fort. And the reason for this is because it was contagious. It's a virus. And as a driver, he would have been in contact with lots of people. So it was critical to get the word out so passengers who rode that minibus or may have been in contact with the driver or other persons who rode that minibus between the 28th of September to the 9th of October, come in and get tested. But the audacity to call someone in a hospital and asking them whether they feel that they have COVID, or at the very least, having that individual say, "Ma kwe ni COVID man." Na sati ko mwen bo, depi girlfriend mwen ba mwen, de tas or whatever of bush tea to drink, mwen de kato say. But it is because of the very coffin he was asked to go get himself checked out. But after he drank the tea, the bush tea or the bush medicine or whatever you want to call it, il m'a kato say encore. So they asked him to stay home. And of course, people go wild with all their stories, and out of an abundance of caution, it's sensible to quarantine people who've been in direct contact with him. If you identify that, if he indicates who his contacts were, contact tracing. That's what we've been hearing about that since March. But that's not anything unusual, that anybody who may have been in contact with him would be put in quarantine or asked to stay home, take a test for at least 7 days or whatever. But it's these very same protocols that have had St. Lucia up to this point so safe that you can travel to the UK from St. Lucia and not have to go into quarantine because of the record that we have here with the CMO and the Minister of Health and our Prime Minister and all the others who have been working to handle this situation, this global pandemic. Let's stop pretending, oh, St. Lucia don't have COVID, St. Lucia don't have COVID. Flush that stupid statement. St. Lucia don't have COVID. Flush it. But you know what it is? St. Lucia is not descending into the pit that some people would like it to be. That some people are going berserk because all the propaganda and the lies have not worked. And they're going mad. That's what's happening. They're going mad over there. Don't go mad over there, you know. They're going mad.
Going mad, crazy, all they try, they're going mad, and it's okay, but yes, it's crazy, all they try.
All the lies, all the propaganda, all the nonsense has not been working, and they're going mad. And you saw an example of that just a while ago, invading people's private property, desperation and insanity. Don't know what else to do. The country continues to move forward. But you know, last Tuesday or last episode, two days after that march of shame, they call it a protest march of shame, which had nothing to do with the bill, because you all saw the video too. It's all about marching against Chasney, against the government. The COVID bill had nothing to do with that, because since July, and you saw the video with Philip J. Pierre, saying that they plan to have a march at the end of October. So it had nothing to do with that. All of the shenanigans were designed to facilitate a window into madness. And you're telling me, folks, I want you to examine this for me. The second wave that they've been talking about is upon the world. We hear about spiking numbers in Europe, in the UK, all the Roro that's going on there in Spain, in Italy, in France, in Martinique, in Guadeloupe, in the US, in Canada. So you're telling me just because the state of emergency expired on the 30th of September, tout by Bella Saint-Lucie? When we know darn well, Adan Yoka Antwe, Padeye, Louvet, Denry, we know it. Remember those videos we saw of those minibuses? Costa, that was at Louvet picking people up who were coming off the boats. You remember those? You remember those? So just because, and I will say it tonight, gross irresponsibility, recklessness on behalf of the St. Lucia Labour Party, Philip J. Pierre, Kenny Anthony, all of them, to encourage people during a global pandemic to go out and march in their thousands. Because there weren't 50 people there. There weren't 100. To use a technicality of no law being in place at the time. We put people first. You put people first? You put people first? And you had a mass crowd event with thousands of people? And then Philip J. Pierre now, realizing the faux pas that was done there, realizing the lewe, the big mistake that was made there, realizing the potential for catastrophe, and all of that because of COVID, the following day said that, but I'll tell you, if we get one case next week, they'll say it's because of us. Of course! Who the hell you want them to say it is? Who do you expect them to say? And then the ignorance of it all, the hypocrisy of it all. You get hypocrites to me. The hypocrisy of it all is that at the bottom of the flyer, they have COVID-19 protocols in effect. Which protocols? Which COVID-19 protocols? There was no law. So what COVID-19 protocols are you talking about? We saw the few photos that there were. Tons of people there, no mask. Ebe masla abama toyo. And now everybody is running scared, rightfully so, that you have this guy now who's tested positive, a bus driver. Oh no, they quit. Oh, we never contracted this guy to transport people to the SLP mat. So what? He was still on the road. He was still transporting people. And these people were in touch with other people. How can you maintain, and did anybody see the maintenance of 6 foot distancing in that march? So now with this situation there, you're telling me it is not right, or that it is not sensible or reasonable for anyone to be concerned about the potential for one. Look at how one person, a bus driver, one person has people freaking out. You know how many people that guy could have been in touch with or in contact? How many people he was in contact with? How many people he exchanged money with? How many times he must have sneezed into his hand or something? And how many people on that bus now who may have been asymptomatic? In fact, the driver is saying he doesn't have symptoms. So asymptomatic, but he said he was sneezing and coughing. That's why they told him to go check himself out. But what about other people who could have possibly been infected and they're asymptomatic, or they haven't shown symptoms yet? And how long into the symptoms will they wait before they go get checked out? 28th of September to the 9th of October. Almost 2 weeks, that guy obviously had been infected. Couldn't he have infected somebody then on the Saturday or Friday or Thursday or Wednesday last week? So what's happening now is that it's a waiting game. And in 14 days, we will know the repercussions of this patient one, because obviously he got it from someone. He hasn't traveled. Did he travel? That's the question. Or did somebody travel? That's the question. That's the question. So somebody out there had to have given it to him. Who else did they give it to? That's the question to ask. I want your very intelligent and sensible questions, but nevertheless, the nonsense that was spewed on radio, doubting the accuracy of the statements made by the CMO. I mean, an irresponsible statement. And the host of that show could not say to the man, well, you know, sometimes everybody knows that now. We have all been exposed to the material, and if you're going to be an entity on radio, talking to people about that, interviewing people, at least you should know about the basics, so that you will not assist, aid, and abet in instilling fear in the population, in making people more reckless. I say, oh, if you don't feel anything, you don't have COVID. And saying to the man, but brother, even if you don't have any symptoms or you don't feel sick, you can still be a carrier. You can still transmit the virus. But for whatever reason, he goes on and on and on. And you can tell the undertones of it all is trying to lay blame on the government, trying to say that the government not dealing with things properly. That's the whole intention. And clearly, in my opinion, he had already spoken to the guy before. But I want to hear what you have to say about this. We're going to take a break and be right back. Share your outrage, folks. Right back after the break.
To experience the benefits of a tropical solar water heating system, call 453-1868 in Castries or 454-6344 in Vieux-Fort.
Thank you. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to this segment where we're going to keep it real with you. But you know, I have a question for Philip J. Pierre and the SLP. St. Lucia has done remarkably well. And this success has not been by accident. It's because of deliberate actions, because of deliberate measures that have been put in place. And talk all you want to talk, say all you want to say. You will be shouting from the heavens, nobody's rights have been infringed. No human rights, no nothing of the sort. Because you say Shastney wants to give himself an advantage. You realize that the same measures that prevent you from having a mass crowd event do the same for everybody else. But I want to ask Philip J. Pierre, if for whatever reason that he believes that Barbados doesn't have COVID. That if he believes that Martinique doesn't have COVID, if he believes that Guadeloupe is at zero, if he believes that people are not coming in through the back door, and if he believes that St. Lucia has been so good in its fight against this coronavirus, that the measures put in place by the CMO, by everything that has been done by the Prime Minister, by Minister of Health, Mary Isaacs, has kept us so safe that he is willing to take the risk with his supporters' lives and have a mass crowd event, a protest march, a march of shame, a march of disgrace, and believe full well that if anything breaks out or happens, that this administration under Prime Minister Alan Chaste will be contained, that the protocols put in place, that the measures implemented, that the safeguards that this government has shown work will continue to keep St. Lucian safe. Maybe it's a vote of confidence by Philip J. Pierre in the immense success and the preparation and ability of this administration and the health officials. Or maybe he's just going mad. He's going mad. Wake up over there. Maybe he's going mad. On the try. Or maybe we just have a bunch of hypocrites that only when it's in their favor or when they're in government that they think everything's okay. But when anybody else is in, all sorts of problems, all sorts of criticism. You ready with the hypocrites? Give me the hypocrites. Hypocrite. That's right. Bring it up for them to see at the bottom. It's right there. COVID-19 protocol in effect. COVID-19 protocol. You see the hypocrisy? You see the stupidity? But we're going to open up the lines and let's go to the St. Jude's photos that you missed, folks. 450-0777. Let's get St. Jude's going for you to see. The parking lot in the front. All of this is getting ready, folks. We're getting ready. Look at those photos of St. Jude's. Work has been progressing the building frame and everything. The floors are now up. But the other works, you don't see it spread out. But works have been going on. Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. Good night.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Keep rolling with the photos.
Let me tell you something about you. You see the mere fact you're not somebody of Yodi. You're coming out with hard, real facts. I will tell you something. You should never be surprised. Because the first deputy leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party a while back said this coming election will be the most
nastiest
election in the history of St. Lucia. Now, when they send their supporters down there to attack the police officer that is on a private capacity, I am not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. Desperation.
Because they are desperate and they will try and do everything
to disrupt
a good thing. Now, I am telling you, sometimes I can be wrong, I can be right. But when I heard you said that Peter Foster Chambers is the lawyer, is he going to press charges? I taken aback
I
because
can't answer for that. I can't answer that, eh?
I know Thaddeus Antoine name appear on the document that as the lawyer. So right now I hear you saying a different thing. So was it maybe?
Will one of them be a friend of the court and make a recommendation, whether it's Thaddeus Antoine or whether it's Foster's Chambers or Rene St. Rose or any of the other lawyers? Sanction those who are currently active on the bar and participated in this blatant and flagrant activity on the weekend.
Yes.
There must be some sanction to this behavior without shame and without any consideration at all for anyone.
Yes. Because tonight...
And Kim St. Rose, Renee St. Rose, if she is so inclined to write letters, then she should write a letter to these individuals, sanctioning them or taking action. You don't need to go to court. The Bar Association can take action for the delinquent behavior of its members.
Quite correct. Now, tonight here again, what is the gentleman name that was interviewing?
Wayne Girard.
Wayne Girard.
Yes.
SLP
candidate for ancillary canneries.
Yes. I heard it from his mouth.
Where?
No, on the interview.
Okay.
He presented the drawings to the National Trust.
Yep.
So
you see what I'm talking about, caller?
No, I heard it from him. So why is the National Trust is on record saying that they don't know nothing of that nature, nothing of any plans was submitted to them?
He had a special meeting with them and it was an extra thick report with all sorts of drawings and everything, information.
Yes, the guy said that. The guy said that the drawings was presented to the National Trust. So who is lying there?
I don't know. Not me. I didn't say anything.
Who is trying to prove me? Because you presented the documents. I don't believe you prepared these documents to come on TV, on national TV, and show something bogus.
Okay.
But I want to know what is happening. Anyway, let me wait for somebody else.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Thanks for keeping it real. We have another call? Or not yet? Folks, I want you to express yourself with regard to this crazy situation down there in Soufrière at the Peters and the even more ludicrous situation that occurred on the airwaves yesterday. We have a call. Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real. You're on the air.
Hello, good evening.
You're very low, caller. Can you speak into the mouth?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good night. How are you?
Not so bad.
Let's keep it real.
Earlier on, I heard you spoke of Wayne Girard pertaining to the land that was bought in Soufrière, whatever.
Yeah.
And you also indicate that he's supposed to come out to answer certain questions.
Yeah.
Being you have asked this, could you tell?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Then you have what?
I said, being you ask for Wayne Girard to come out to answer certain questions.
Yes.
You has a position now addressing us in St. Lucia. Could you come out and tell us what transpired with you in America? Thank you.
Well, I don't know what's that about, but I'm back here now. Thank you very much. That wasn't very real. That was just, out there. But anyway, folks, we have to realize that there must be some sort of responsibility. That we have persons of influence on the radio, on TV, and instead of informing themselves that they can give the people of St. Lucia the right information, or at least if they have a guest, steer them in the right direction or say, what you're saying is quite not right. They allow people to say things that will encourage people in St. Lucia not to trust the authorities, not to believe what is being said, and then now these people will be reckless in their behavior too and endanger us all. Good night, you're on the air. Let's keep it real. Good night.
Hi, good night.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Norbert.
Yes, good evening. How are you? Go ahead.
You see, those two former police officers who are current attorneys just exposes some of the frailties, or should I say, the deficiencies in our legal system. And what it says is because somebody becomes a lawyer does not mean that they really have a really sound legal education. It could just be that if you still what you used to call something at school, you say cramming, where you cram a subject.
Yeah.
Because these guys don't seem to know the basics of being a lawyer with the kind of stupid questions that this guy was asking. And St. Lucians need to take note. So when you want a really good legal person, an attorney, you do not work with these kind of people. Because they don't have a clue as to what they're doing. Judging by the questions that they were asking the police officer.
You're absolutely right, caller. And the thing is that unashamedly, on camera, on camera, and I am amazed that there are no charges yet, that nothing has been said publicly by the Bar Association about the behavior that was displayed there, that nothing has been said by any of the media houses who had personnel there on that day.
But you did not realize that one of them actually had the microphone belonging to the media house.
That's right. Was he employed by them on that day?
What kind of nonsense is this?
I don't know, caller. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for keeping it real. Folks, you have to decide. It's right there in front. But we'll take a few more calls before we wrap it up tonight. Yeah, we're a little bit over time, but we're going to give you an opportunity to talk about what's been shown tonight. Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good night, Mr. Norbert Williams.
Yes, good night, sir.
Yeah, I'm totally gobsmacked. I'm totally puzzled by the fact that, two former policemen, and one of them has been a high-ranking policeman, and now he's a practicing attorney, asking a guy who is securing a private property what legitimacy that he has.
Can you believe that?
Securing, and they recognize the guy.
That is right.
He literally recognized the guy.
That's right.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Because what you said there is very serious, whereas where is the Bar Association and this whole thing? It is ridiculous.
Caller, I saw this thing and I was amazed, to put it lightly. Amazed.
But people listening to this and watching this thing on television must be asking, where is the Bar Association and all this thing? Why is there not a sanction? Why is there not some sort of explanation on this? Guys who are better off in knowing the law.
That's right. At least they should have been the voice of reason for those people who went down there.
No, but the worst part about it was the question, what legitimacy do you have here stopping me when the guy is supposed to be securing private property?
And you trespassing.
That's what he was doing.
But just as I said earlier, caller, imagine you go away for the weekend or you go on vacation or something, and you put somebody at your house to secure your house whilst you're away, and somebody breaks down the door or enters your house unlawfully, they trespass on your property, and now the crook is asking the person you left at your house, what is your legitimacy here? I mean, this is absolutely mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling.
I listened to the interview, and I listened to the security guy who is saying to them that they are trespassing on public property.
Private property.
And those private property. And they are not responding. All they're saying is that asking the guy what legitimacy that he has there, and you recognize the guy to be an ex-cop or whatever he is. He was. I don't believe
And then
it.
he challenges the guy and says, you don't know more about policing than me or something of the sort. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is just incredible, caller. Absolutely incredible.
I'm wondering what example those guys are setting, in this country as legal minds. I'm wondering.
Oh, well.
It is ridiculous. And I must say, and I'm going to use this Jamaican slang, oh, what a la-la.
Thank you very much, caller. Thanks for keeping it real.
Bye.
We'll take 2 more calls. We have one on the line. And those are the photos there, folks. You see, through rain or sun and shine, they continue to work. Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Yes, good night.
Can't hear you too clearly. Keep going.
Oh, good night.
Yes,
Yes,
good
I
night.
just want to say that the police officer showed a level of maturity.
Absolute. Kudos to him.
Yes. That
He handled
put
the
both-
situation very
that-
well.
That put both of these ex-police officers who
To
say they are
shame.
lawyers to shame.
Yes.
And I think that they should look at that and they should look at themselves.
Absolutely.
And they look like little boys.
Yes.
He was the man.
Yes.
They thought they were belittling him, but he belittled them.
Yes.
And as for Yadi, I don't expect anything better from him.
Yeah.
So, people who listen to that show should know that's Yadi. Good night.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you for keeping it real. First time I'm hearing your voice, and thank you so much for calling. And I must say that the video that was shown earlier about the invasion of private property should be used by the police as a training tool. We know we hear about that in the States and other countries all the time, to show the offenses that are being created step by step and the actions to take when these incidents occur. And I must say, folks, we can say all we want about some of the bad apples in the police force or anywhere else, but those police officers there handle themselves remarkably well. And I think that they must be given kudos for the manner in which they handled that situation. Good night, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Norbert.
Yes, sir.
The beautiful pictures that you have put, that is in your background. I want to ask a question. When is St. Jude's expected to be completed?
Well, I can't give you that answer. It should be within reasonable time.
Within reasonable time.
Initially, there was talk somewhere about by-elections next year or a little before that.
You think it is going to be completed by then?
Well, caller, that's what was said. What do you think?
I don't think so.
You don't know?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
And what's your level of expertise?
My level of expertise?
Yes. But if you have the experts saying so, then what's the reason for you doubting that?
Well,
Why do you think so?
we all know that we refer to all of our things which has been done, but I'm not done. I can tell you for sure that it's not going to be finished next year.
Okay. All right. So
All
then
right,
that's
have a
your
blessed
opinion.
night.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller. Thanks for keeping it real. We'll take one more call. Okay. We have one more call coming in. Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good night, sir.
Yes, good night.
I'm so upset to talk to you. I'm so upset about that video. Richard Frederick and that man just get me so sick, honestly.
Well, don't be upset. Don't be aware.
No, honestly, I was very upset. Richard Frederick should know better than that.
Well, that's what I think too. It's I can't find the words, caller. I mean, it's just amazing.
Honestly, Mr. Williams, honestly, Richard Frederick, his spirit not good is mine. Because he's getting me disgusted. Every time I see that man, I just want to mash up my television.
Well, don't do that, caller. You won't have a TV for Christmas. Or
Keep
maybe you have a square TV and you're looking for an excuse to get a flat screen.
Oh, before I go, my wife says she would like your cup because she wants to keep it real.
She was. Well, thank you very much. Good night to your wife. We have
All
one
right.
more.
We always keep on watching it. Good night, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for keeping it.
Right.
Thank you for keeping it real. Had me out of breath there for a little moment. Thank you very much, and a special good night to Keon and your mummy over there, and Kimani, and all the youngsters who stay up late on a Tuesday or alert their parents to the show. Mommy or daddy, the show is on Keeping It Real. We'll take, this is our final call. Good night, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Yeah. Yes, good evening, Norbert.
Good evening, go ahead.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Okay, I just think I should call. At the Swizzle Zonal Conference that we had last month, you remember what the incident that happened with Trisha Lyle?
Right, that's right. I think I covered some of that as well. Yes.
I want them to tell me what is exactly going on what we saw tonight.
That's a good question, caller. We see an escalation of these events, like somebody's trying to get something to come out of these confrontations, because that's what they are.
I cannot believe that same Yada
Yodi
has not said nothing about that.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah. So I will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Bye. That's it. We're all done. That's it, folks. We have no more calls. The guys have closed off the lines, and they say no later than now. Well, once again, we've come to the end of Keeping It Real on a Tuesday night. I'm glad that you were here with me tonight to discuss the issues, to keep it real. And of course, like I say, I give you the evidence that I get, and you can conduct your own analysis of the paralysis. Thank you so much for watching once again, all of you in the diaspora, all around St. Lucia, and of course on Sky FM 93.1. Good night, and thank you once again. I'm Norbert Williams. See you next time.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
Hot 7 TV is the rising star of television in St. Lucia.